Hello, very good evening, and welcome to yet another episode of Leadership Satsang. I'm your leadership coach, Yukti Kapoor Mehndiratta. Thank you so much for joining in today. And today we're going to talk about something very, very important, a very important skill for any leader to have, and that is adaptability. So I want to share with you what are the three ways to know if you are adaptable, if your leadership is adaptable. And what do I mean by that? Is for us to learn what to learn to bring that adaptability. Is it a question whether we should be adaptable or not? I don't think so. I think we are very clear about the fact that we all need to be adaptable. In fact, I often share this metaphor which comes to my mind every time I talk about leadership. This metaphor comes straight to my mind of water. And I always keep encouraging people to remember this metaphor because it helps us to remember how important adaptability is. So, as a leader, you need to have properties of water, which means you should be able to take the shape of any vessel you are poured into. But remember, water remains water. Water does not lose its properties. Water does not lose its authenticity. A lot of times people ask me this question that Yukti, if I keep adapting myself, then who am I? I'm like this here, I'm like that there. So who's the real me? Will the real Slim Shady please stand up? So, and I say, you know what? The real Slim Shady is within you. The real you is you. Your ability to adapt is also you. That doesn't change your character. That brings in your ability to connect with different environment, different situations more appropriately. It's appropriateness that's being focused here, not lack of authenticity. You're still who you are. It is still water. It takes a different shape every time you put it in a different vessel. But how to do it? How should we bring that level of adaptability? That is a $1 million question. And I'm going to help you earn these $1 million in this satsang session today. But before we do that, you know what we always do? We have to bring ourselves into this moment completely first. And our way of doing that is to chant Om together. So may I encourage you all to please sit straight, spine straight, shoulders relaxed. So spine straight can look like this sometimes. But when I say spine straight, also ensure that your shoulders are relaxed. You're not slouching, it is still sitting straight, but relaxed shoulders so that you feel comfortable sitting where you are. And when that's how you feel, you can keep your glasses aside, close your eyes, and take a few breaths in and out. Breathe in and breathe out. We will chant Om 5 times and we chant with every exhalation. So whenever you exhale, you will chant Om slowly with me. If you can do it out loud in your space, that would be great. Right, so I'll let you decide. Take a nice deep breath in. Prepare yourself for the chant, please. Om. 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 Shanti. 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 And whenever you're ready, please rub your palms together. Place them gently on your eyes and your face, and your ears, and your neck, your shoulders, and slowly come back. All right. So are you here 100%? Give me 100% in the chat if you're here 100%. And as you share that, tell me, where are you joining me from? Surendra, so good to have you here. Adaptability is the foremost trait needed in this era of ever-changing environment and technology. So well said. Absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't have agreed more. That's right. All right, so are we here 100%? Let's have 100% in the chat, in the comments, so that I know you're here and I can also welcome you to this live session. It's just so much fun, in fact, a delight for me to have you all joining in live because I like conversations. You know, a monologue is kind of boring. Like you're just talking to yourself, then you might as well record it. But it's fun when you join me live. That's when it's fun to do live sessions. And I've been having this fun for 92 weeks now. Okay, we're getting closer to our 100th episode. And I was thinking this morning, what should we do differently on the 100th episode? And honestly, I have no great ideas about it. So if you have any suggestions, please do share it with me, and I will definitely think through and we can kind of plan how we should celebrate our 100th episode. And of course, we need to plan it together. Like we need to celebrate this together because it's happening because of you, right? It's all you all who come in every week and make this happen. And that is how we are getting to our 100th episode. So do share your suggestions on what can we do on our 100th episode. It's a milestone episode. What kind of conversations would you like to have? What would you like to learn? How do you think we should celebrate? Okay. Please do share your thoughts. You can write to me on yukti@sbyacademy.com. A lot of you have my email address already, but I am still mentioning it in the chat for your reference. It's yukti@sbyacademy.com. Okay, so on that note, let's get on with adaptability and the fact that we all need to be adaptable. But what we will learn today is how to work towards being more adaptable as leaders. Now, before I share that, I'm curious to know, how adaptable do you think you are? I don't have to explain what adaptability means. Of course, you understand that very well. But how aware are you about your ability to adapt? And let's be honest, which you are always when it comes to self assessment, more so, because there's no point. There's no point not bringing in that honesty when you're assessing yourself. If you don't get the current location right, as I say, you can't get to your final destination, right? So even if you use Google Maps and you give a wrong current location, you will never get to where you want to get to. You need to mention exactly where you are. And that is an opportunity we get when we assess ourselves. Any self assessment is that opportunity to gauge your current location. So, what is your current location when it comes to adaptability? You've seen a lot in life, right? You've had a lot of experiences. You have all these years behind you of hard work that you have put in to get to where you are. And of course, in that process, you've gone through lots of experiences, lots of situations, lots of people you had to deal with. How adaptable did you find yourself to be? Or how rigid did you find yourself to be at times? Because it's not always that easy to be adaptable. And sometimes it's our ego that comes in the way, by the way, right? So a part of you says, yeah, you know, why me all the time? Why should I think? Why should I be the one who's like the most mature person in the room? I can adapt to what's happening here, but why should I not put my foot down when everyone else seems to be doing that? So if that is a thought that crosses our mind and we act upon it, in that moment, we are definitely not adaptable. Is that right? And so I always say there is no merit in assessing yourself on your knowledge. You can assess yourself only on your actions. That's the only assessment that will make sense, isn't it? So tell me, how would you assess yourself on a scale of 10? 10 being the most adaptable one can be. How adaptable do you think you are most of the times? Obviously, like I said, there are different situations, different people, and different level of willingness. Sometimes you're just not willing. Like I said, it could be our ego that comes in the way and says, no, I'm not being adaptable in this situation. Not me, not again. And that could be one of the many scenarios when you will not bring in adaptability. So 6 on 10, when you introspect, Surinder, fantastic. Off and on, Suman, yeah. The track of adaptability, superb. 6 in the, got it. All right. See, these kind of questions, we don't even ask ourselves, isn't it? So what we want to do and what we really enjoy doing is to add more to the how to list. How to be more adaptable, how to be a better leader, how to do this, how to do that. And then we don't know what to do with this list because we don't know what is it that I need to pick and how badly do I need to pick it. So anytime you invest your time to learn anything, I would strongly recommend that you take a minute and assess yourself on where you stand. And that helps you to know how badly you need to learn what you need to learn and what is the right thing that you must learn before you engage in practicing that, right? So the first thing that you have to bring in is to learn what to practice and then practice what you have learned. We don't do it in this manner. By the way, it sounds very commonsensical, obviously, Yukti. That's what makes sense and nothing else, but that's not what we do. What do? We just start practicing. The first how to list you get, and you're on with it. You just start your practice. But you've got to be very, very mindful on what you need to practice before you engage in that practice. So where am I with adaptability? If I'm a 6 on 10, what would a 7 on 10 look like? What would help me to get to an 8 on 10? So I'm going to share with you a few how-tos. But now that you have assessed yourself, it will make a lot more sense to add some of these things into your action plan. Even if there is one thing that you will take away from today's satsang, which is added to your roadmap of becoming a more effective leader, I would call this a success. I would call this time well spent. And from my end, effort well put, because it just doesn't make sense otherwise. So if you are ready, give me BIO, bring it on in the comments. Bring it on would tell me that you're not just going to collect some more how-tos, but you will make sure that you are bringing this to practice. You are going to add something from what I will share with you today to your roadmap, to your plan towards becoming more effective leaders. If that's what you're going to do, then say BIO, bring it on. I see a 4, I see a 7, fantastic. Aparna, Nafisa, wonderful, good to have you here. Wonderful, wonderful. Premraj, 7, got it. Chandrasekhar, 6, so good to have you here. Fantastic, fantastic. All right, good. We have our assessments there and we know where we stand with adaptability. Now let us see what we need to learn to improve adaptability. I want to quote Charles Darwin here with a very, very powerful statement he made, saying the most important factor in survival is neither intelligence nor strength, but adaptability. And that's how important it is for us to work on our ability to adapt. So how can we do that? I want to share 3 ways in the interest of time. And if I could elaborate on each one of them, it would take me a couple of more hours, if not longer, which means that we have to go deeper into each one of the points I'm making briefly in this session right now. Okay, so the first way is flexible ways of thinking. Adaptable leaders have a flexible way of thinking. How do you bring that flexibility in your thinking? There are 3 ways to do it again. Number 1, go beyond your own perspective. This is how you see the world, and then there is another worldview other people have. Can you accommodate their worldview? Can you appreciate their worldview? It's not just said, it needs to be done. Because when you see the world through their eyes, is when you're able to see a new perspective, and that is what will challenge your existing patterns, because we all have a certain pattern in which we think. It also helps to play around with new ideas, doing new things without attaching too much burden of performance of results onto it. And also bringing in some level of feeling and emotions that can help you to deal with other people's emotions. So feel and deal with emotions accordingly. Don't treat humans as resources. They are more than resources. They are humans first. So we've got to create that connection with people we work with, people we surround ourselves with, right? So we've got to feel what they feel, and only then can we understand how they think, right? So these are some of the ways to bring in flexibility in the way you think. You know what the problem is? That more than anything else, we come in our own way. Our achievements, our success stories, and all the praises that we gather from people, I can't blame you to be a little egoistic about it. And that self pride comes to a point where we don't realize that we become so righteous. My way or the highway. And you will never say that, by the way. Some people do. But most of the people don't say that. Does not mean that they don't think like that. Because a lot of us think like that. We pretend to listen. We pretend to be open. Yeah, bring it out. Sure, sure. I'm listening to you. But in my head, I'm waiting to tell you that, you know what? I know all this. I will tell you what to do. And I still have the patience to listen to you, but I'm not listening really because I'm just waiting for my turn to tell you the right thing to do because that's how righteous we are. So please don't take this lightly. Flexibility in your way of thinking, it needs to be the first step. And after that, you can bring that flexibility in your action, right? What is the second way? And by the end of this, I would love to know what are you committing to? Okay, we're not going anywhere without you sharing that commitment with me in the comments. What are you going to add to your roadmap? As much as you could add all of these points, I would encourage you to pick one and run with it, or maybe a couple, and bring it to life and then add more. Right? So slowly, let's just take a few steps deeper. Like getting deeper takes longer, and it's all right. It's all right because that's irreversible transformation. It's irreversible growth. That's how beautiful it is to go deeper. So one way is be flexible in the way you think. The second that helps us to be more adaptable is to plan ahead. We should be able to plan ahead. And how can we do that? We can do that in a couple of ways. One, focus on whatever resources you have and use your energy to achieve the goals that you have for now, the goals which are your short term, your long term goals. Staying ahead of the game is very, very important. That adds adaptability to the way we function. Second is to examine what are the opportunities and threats around us so that we can minimize the risk, we mitigate the risk, we manage the risk, and we are able to maximize the rewards we can get, the return on our effort, on our investment, right, on our time that can multiply. And for that, we need to plan ahead. These are the reasons why you need to plan ahead. Now, listen, you cannot plan ahead in some review meeting that happens once a quarter. And you think that that strategy meeting that you go to as Mancom takes care of your planning ahead? Absolutely not. What you need to look at is how busy are you in doing stuff on day-to-day basis. Because if you're just busy doing, then there is no way you can plan ahead because you're not able to look into the future. You're so stuck in the present and you're operating from the past, by the way, right? All the biases that you carry into the present from the past is what is helping you function the way you function in the present. And so you're stuck with all these cobwebs that are holding you back, all the chaos, the madness, the firefighting, as we call it. So if you're firefighting all the time, where is the time for me to be the torchbearer? Are you understanding? Right? So again, it sounds very simple. Of course, I need to plan ahead. Of course, strategic thinking is one of my strengths. I'm sure it is. But what's the point if you're limiting it to some offsite review or some quarterly discussion? It is something that needs to be a part of your calendar for whatever time, almost every day, and if not, definitely every week. Anything more than that as a frequency is too stretched for you to believe that you are able to plan ahead. You might be able to, but you're not doing that. You might have the capability, but you're not doing that if you find yourself stuck in BAU, business as usual. I hope this is making sense. And I hope this hard hitting reality is absolutely okay for you all. And you would let me do this as your coach, right? I have no doubt that I can say exactly what I need to without mincing words because you have the maturity to understand and not just understand, also run with it, right? Make the necessary changes here or in your action wherever required. Let's look at the third way of bringing in adaptability. and that is to stay curious. Curious about what? Curious to understand people, curious to understand how can we do this differently. And how do you do that? How do you address that curiosity? By asking questions, by listening when other people talk, by observing what are some of the things that you can learn from people around you, being inquisitive to know other perspectives, other outlook, other thought processes, other experiences, others' failures and success stories, best practices and the worst ones, right? Thinking creatively and experimenting without worrying about failing. And again, let me give you another reality check here. This is yet another something we talk about with a lot of fluency and sway, that oh, you see, failure is part of life, and we can't dodge it. We all have to fail, and failing is okay. Is it really okay? Are you really okay to fail? Because most of us are not. And so what do? We do what we know will work. That's what we do. We keep doing it till it stops working. So if you will keep doing what you've always done, where is creativity in that? What experiment are we talking about? Because it takes a lot of courage to indulge in experiments, especially at your level. If you're a senior management resource, you are looked at by many more people, right? Because you are that much in the spotlight. So anything you do is going to put a big question mark on you. But if you are not willing to go beyond that question mark, you can't claim to be creative. You can't claim to be open to experimenting or to say that I'm curious. Well, if that's what you are very confident about, that you are someone who's curious, ask yourself, when was the last time I failed? And if it was longer than a week back, you haven't tried enough. You're not trying as often. And that could be a personal failure, a professional failure. I leave that to you. But how open are you to fail? Because if you are not willing, then there is no room for a different perspective. There is no room for curiosity. There is no time for planning ahead. And there is no challenge you're giving to your preset, preconceived notions about life and its affairs, right? So where is the flexibility in the way you think? Think about it and see which one of these are you willing to commit to and bring to your practice. Because only when you do that will you be able to bring in more adaptability in your leadership. With that, I want to invite you to share your commitment in the comments. What are you committing to do? What are you taking away from this satsang session? What are you going to bring to practice so that you don't just know you're adaptable or not, but you work towards becoming even more adaptable? Let's have that in the comments, and I would love to know what is that one commitment you are willing to make to yourself. And the commitments that we make to ourselves, they have to be non-negotiable. Even though no one else knows about it, you are watching, right? You're watching yourself, and what can be more important than that? So please do live up to these commitments and make one. Make a commitment that can help you to become a better you, because there is no end to it. There is no end to how much we can work on ourselves. And that's why I believe that spirituality has to be the essence of leadership. It's not another subject. It's not a different genre. It is the way to lead. If you are not able to connect with yourself, how will you ever be able to connect with anybody else? Which is what leadership is all about, isn't it? So first you connect with yourself. And that in itself is spirituality. That's what spirituality means. So what I'm talking about here is making a commitment to yourself and honoring that. Isn't that spirituality? Of course it is. Of course it is. This is what will strengthen you, your character. And that character is what gains and earns trust of people. These people who look up to you. These people who call you their leader. I hope you're taking away something from this session. And I hope this helps you to be looked up to by many, many more people so that you can become a better you in the process. Thank you so much for joining in, for adding your comments here, for joining me live. And next week when we meet, there will be another insight in the space of spirituality and leadership. It will be the last satsang, last Tuesday, I think, of this month. That's right, which means an open house, open for any questions that you may have. So please join me live. You will put your questions in the comments. I will take them up real time and try my best to address so I can help you overcome your challenges and prepare you to become even more effective leaders. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. God bless you all. I'll see you next week.